And part of it is that there's been a shift in their thinking, I think. I actually haven't talked to any of them, but when I came to the University of New Orleans, a state's public-supported state higher education was considered a public good. If I was educated at a low price, the public would benefit from my education. And so the state should pay citizens of the state. That thinking is shifting, and I think now the people who in state houses and state legislatures who are appropriating money are now considering it a private good. And a private good is the benefits only enjoyed by one or two people. So what they are doing by reducing state appropriations, they're forcing universities to make the student and the families pay, because the philosophy is that it's no longer a public good. It's a private good that only a few people can enjoy. So that's not going to go away. And as you mentioned, it's a dilemma. How high can you raise tuition and fees before you hit a tipping point where people choose not to come here or not go to university at all? So that's a problem. But I think the university has to grow in numbers as well. Of course, with the Louisiana LA Grad Act, you got to grow in quality as well in students in all categories. The university will have to do whatever it can to make UNO the first choice of local high ability students. Not everybody who graduates from a high school in New Orleans considers UNO the first choice, I'm sure. Actually, I have some anecdotal information to tell you that one young lady from a private Catholic high school, she didn't think of anybody who was going to UNO. This past year. So we have to do whatever we can, which means we have to reach out to the high schools. We have to let the high school counselors know just how excellent the academic programs are, that a student doesn't have to go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to get a degree or get in pre-med. We have the best pre-med program around, et cetera, et cetera. Out-of-state students have to be recruited here. I know it's a state-supported university. Of course, the state support's going down every year, but out-of-state students have to come. We have to find them. We have to go to where students are, and they'll pay a premium to come here. So it doesn't violate what the university needs to do, and we need to recruit international students. The students, and I've had a lot of experience with international students. They dying for a U.S. degree, despite what you read. You know, the same people in India really want an India degree now. That's not true. People really want a degree from the United States. It's still a gold standard, despite what you hear. So the university sort of has to market itself a lot better. The Institutional Review Report says that marketing doesn't happen. I don't think that this university lets people know its accomplishments well enough or loud enough. So that will have to happen. And the strategy for recruiting's got to change. Just for example, the institutional report even said it. You know, people in North Shore go to Southeastern. Forgive me, Mr. Cody, right? Those people 5 years ago lived in Chalmette, Louisiana. Okay, why don't they come to UNL? Southeastern is a wonderful university. At University of Southern Mississippi, we got large numbers of North Shore students. We gave them all leadership scholarships so they didn't have to pay out-of-state tuition. Okay, we had a recruiter who recruited only the North Shore of Louisiana, of New Orleans, excuse me, to go to Southern Miss. Well, you might have to do that. I don't know if they do that here yet. I'm not that familiar with what goes on, but we have to recruit the North Shore as well. Okay.
Our next question is from Dr. Maroney.
Yes, Peter, would you please share your philosophy on shared governance and maybe some experiences where you had successful collaborations with faculty and staff? I know you've already alluded to one already.
It'd be my pleasure. I need to say this, and if you get to know me really well, which I hope you do, I say things that I think I need to say. If the institutional review report is accurate, I understand it's pretty accurate, I'm flabbergasted that there isn't the level of shared governance that the reviewers expect at a university. It's just, it's foreign to me. Maybe it's because when I was a faculty member at Tulane that It was very open. Tulane didn't have a faculty senate, by the way. Dr. Maroney had a university senate, which is half administrators, half faculty, and the president of the university was the president of the university senate. So we didn't always agree with the university administration did, but we knew what they were doing, and we knew why they were doing it. So anyway, so that's, I just need to say it to start off with. But shared governance is a must at a university. It's one of the things that separates a university from the private sector. Where else in the industry can a group of people sit down and tell the president you're doing a bad job? Doesn't happen in private industry, but it's acceptable and should be acceptable on the university campus, where a faculty member could actually meet with the president and give them recommendations. That doesn't happen in industry. So it's a critical characteristic of a university. Let me just give you some examples. I use UT Tyler because that was the most recent. At UT Tyler, when we decided membership of the university committees, not Senate faculty committees, the membership was chosen by the Faculty Senate Executive Committee, president-elect and a past president. They came to see me as provost, and we'd go over their recommendations. We would update the charges for the committees, and I would then appoint those administrative people that also served on those committees. The president would then approve it. When a university committee, for example, a curriculum committee, would give a report, they gave it to me through the Faculty Senate. The Faculty Senate would receive the report, see it before I would see it, make comments, and then and recommendations, give the report to me. If a committee was late on the report, I didn't call the committee chair, I called the Faculty Senate president. And I'd say, Danita, I haven't got the curriculum committee report yet for the semester. And then she would get it for me. So the transparency with the capital T, I guess I'll tell you. I met monthly, and sometimes more than that, with the Faculty Senate president and president-elect. And we had a 2-hour meeting in my office. They would tell me what was on their mind relative to faculty, and I'd tell them what was on my mind, issues that I had. Whenever we had a potential problem with a faculty member, I would inform them. This is what's going on, you need to know, can you give me any advice, and you need to know what's going on. I went to every faculty senate meeting. I was invited. I typically I would give a report of what was going on. We went through SACS while I was provost, so I'd definitely give them an update on what's going on with SACS, and we talk about other issues. We talk about salary issues, the legislative session, et cetera. Then I'd field questions. And they always had they call it a gathering. After the meeting was over, they'd have a little social half an hour, and I'd come back to that and just talk to them. The president and I met monthly with the Faculty Senate leadership, and basically would tell them brief them on the meeting I had with them, and then he'd have his own questions, and they'd ask him. Of course, half the things they asked me, I said, well, I have to ask the president. So we did that when we had those meetings. And with respect to staff also involved in shared governance as well. UT Tyler had, they called it a University Staff Advisory Council, USAC. I think he has this SAC. And I would go to their meetings when they invited me. They always had like a one day in the spring, which was like a retreat, where they all got together and it had social things, and they had some development. Not always go to that as well, and just give a report. And they'd ask me questions. Staff are just as worried about academic programs as faculty, by the way. And they'd ask me. In fact, in some cases, they're more worried about SACS than some of my faculty. So that's some of the examples. But shared governance has to happen. And communications. Maybe I'm going around. Communication is the basis for this. And it's two ways. It's not just the president and administration telling the faculty and staff and students things. It's students, faculty, staff telling the administration things. And I think, Dr. Maroney, if you're successful in having adequate lines of communication, then shared governance and transparency just follows. Thank you.
Our last question comes from our other student member who obviously slept in this morning.
Yeah.
Not really. Actually, I think he was in a student meeting.
He gave, well,
earlier.
no, he gave a presentation. He was busy
Yeah.
being a student.
I didn't realize going to class was sleeping in. I guess I'm very good at that.
If you fall asleep in class, that's the
Yeah,
same thing,
sure.
right?
I was just trying to provide a little humor so we could get everybody alert for your question, John.
Thank you, Dr. Moffitt. Dr. Fos, Ms. Fos, pleasure to see both of you again. My question is, obviously, in this state, and you've been in the state for a while, with lack of resources, we have been forced to form a lot of collaborations. We have to work better with fewer, with less of what we have.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest collaborations we have is with two-year institutions and other four-year
Oh, yeah,
institutions.
good.
So can you speak a little to maybe of your track record in making those kind of collaborations and the benefit you see from those collaborations?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, let me go back first to the University of Southern Mississippi. Mississippi's a small state, 2.8 million people, only 8 public universities, only one system. Oh, that's unique. Texas had 5, by the way, and 39 public institutions.
Are you lobbying for a particular position on the
No. But it was more pleasurable. But Mississippi's very unique, I think, given that I've now worked in 3, actually 2 states, hopefully 3. No, I have worked in 3. I worked at Tulane. Is that all the 8 four-year universities in Mississippi had articulation agreements with all the community colleges. It was done from the college system level, as they call it, Institutions of Higher Learning Board. They coordinated it. So every four-year university had an articulation agreement, same one, with all the community colleges, including 2+2 curriculum plans. A lot of work, you had to update them all the time. And for some reason, universities teach world civilization, world history, and community colleges teach American history. I don't know why, but they don't link up. So that was one thing. So we had a very close. And Southern Miss had 50% of Southern Miss incoming students were transfer students. Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, which has 3 or 4 campuses, sent us oodles of students. Jones Junior College is just right up the road, and Pearl River Community College was 35 minutes away. So most of our students came from transfer students. So that was very, very important to us. And I made trips. When I got to UT Tyler, it wasn't quite as sophisticated as you would think. You know, Texas thinks they're good and everything, but it wasn't quite as sophisticated. But UT Tyler was a very selective admission. You had to have a 24 ACT to be admitted, and it was 6,500 students. Lori, by the way, which I didn't have a chance to tell you before she came here, she was the Quality Enhancement Plan Director and Reading Specialist at Tyler Junior College. Tyler Junior College was 14,000 students. So she was a community college administrator. So what we did at UT, and there were no articulation agreements, no 2+2 curriculum plans when I got there. So we did, got to know the president of Tyler Junior College, Mike Metke, really well, and the provost, Butch Hayes, and have several meetings. We identified the 15 most common majors that their transfer students came. And so we set up an articulation agreement and a 2+2 curriculum plan for all those 15 majors, so it'd be seamless. Also, we got a great number of students from Kilgore College. Now, they always have that fancy dancing group you see at the Macy's Day Parade. And Bill Hoder worked really well with him, and we're beginning to do 2+2 plans there. What we did at UT Tyler with our relationship at TJC is TJC gave us office space in the administration building next to the registrar. That was UT Tyler office that we always had, and the admissions counselor and an academic counselor there 8 to 5 every day. So students who wanted to transfer to UT Tyler, who might not have been in those 15 major areas or didn't understand what it meant, they could go to UT Tyler counselor on their campus and get information. And it hadn't happened, but what we were planning to do, and it might be going on now, is that we wanted to get to a point where a student who registered at TJC, who wanted to go to UT Tyler, would simultaneously be admitted. Now, they couldn't enter or be enrolled in UT Tyler until they met certain criteria. In Texas, you have to complete at least 30 credits and have math and English taken care of. You have to have a 2.5. So if they met those criteria, then they wouldn't even have to apply to UT Tyler. They could just next semester register. And at that time, and when that happened, they could then come to campus and go to the library, use the rec center, go to sports, do all the things that students did. That hadn't quite got to fruition by the time. You know. But on a more global level, and I have to compliment my engineering dean